The question here states that we have to, given an array, integer array nums, we have to move all the zeros to the end of it while maintaining the relative order of the non-zero elements. So we must do this in place without making a copy of the array. That means we have to modify the already existing array and should not make another copy of the array. So the array given here is nums, and the nums contains 0, 1, 0, 3, and 12, and our output is 1 3 12 0 0. So yeah, we have to move all our zero elements to the end of the array and all our non-zero elements at the beginning. And the thing I would remember is here is that we have to maintain the order of the non-zero elements. That means our non-zero elements over here is they are 1 3 and 12, and we have to write in an array like 1 3 and 12. We shouldn't change the order. For example, 1 12 and 3 should be in the same order as it is present in the input array. So how we can do this is by we should just take another array. Either there are two methods to solve this. We can take another array and then push all our non-zero elements in it, and then we can keep a counter, right? We have to push our non-zero elements, that is 1 3 and 12, into it. We have to keep on iterating through the elements of the array, and suppose we encounter a non-zero element, then we push it into another array, and then finally at the end of this, there are two zeros. We have to keep a counter that keeps counting all the number of zeros in our initial array. So here the number of zeros is 2. So our counter is initially set to 0, and then whenever it encounters 0, it just increments it, and then there are two zeros here, so it increments twice, and our counter is 2. So we have to go through our counter, and then for two times we have to print 0 0 at the end of the array after our non-zero elements are printed. So this is one approach that we can use to solve. Otherwise, there's another, we have to iterate through the counter and push all the zeros. And this does not use any extra, does it use an extra space? Yes, it uses an extra space. It uses an extra array for this. So this is not maybe a best approach that we can use. So we shouldn't use extra space as it mentioned in the question. It says that we shouldn't use extra space. So we can use a two-pointer approach technique for this. For example, our right pointer and left pointer is here. Our right and left initially points to the zeroth index of our array, and initially they point to the zero index, and they keep moving on until the end of the array. So how we can implement this two-pointer technique is by using skip and swap technique. What happens here is our right pointer is pointing to 0. So first we have to increment our right pointer, and then it points to here. Whenever it encounters a non-zero element such as 1, 3, or 12, it's a non-zero element. So we have to swap our non-zero element and our the element that our left pointer is pointing. We have to swap both these elements. So this becomes 1 and this becomes 0. Then afterwards, after swapping, we have to increment our left pointer. So left comes here and right comes here. Then our right pointer is pointing to a 0. If it is pointing to a 0, we just skip it instead of swapping it. We just skip that element, and then we just move on to the next. We increment just the right pointer alone. Next, we see that right pointer encounters a non-zero element, so we have to skip our right and left. So this 0 becomes 3, and 3 becomes 0. Next, after swapping, we have to increment our left pointer and then increment our right pointer, and we see that our right pointer is pointing to a non-zero element, so we again skip this. We again swap both the left and right pointer, so this one will become 12, and this one will become 0. So after swapping, we have to increment our left pointer, so this becomes our new left, and then after that this becomes our right. But then we see that our right, we have iterated through all the elements of our array, and we have actually completed through all the elements of the array. So we have to end our iteration or looping here, and we come outside of the loop. So over here we see that our final array will be 1 3 12 0 0. So we have come to our end of the uh, and we have concluded to the answer. So this one will take O of n time complexity and O of 1 space complexity, and so this we can just use this approach over here. So coding this, we can just start by using a vector int, and we just start with int n is equal to nums.size of, which takes the size of the array. Then we are going to check for an if condition over here. If n is equal to 0, or n is equal to 1. If n is equal to 0, n is equal to 1, then we have to just return. Otherwise, we'll just declare the other variables left and right. So we want to initialize left to 0 and right also to 0. Then we will initialize a temporary variable for the swapping in order to carry out our swapping process. Then this will be our rearranging process. So we are going to enter inside a while loop. Inside a while loop, we will just write while right is less than n. That means it is less than the size. So if it goes beyond the size, then if it because we know that it goes from 1 to n minus 1, the size of the array. If it goes to n, that means we have to come outside of the loop. So inside we are going to write an if statement. If nums right of if nums of right is equal to 0, that means if we have encountered a 0 element, then we should just skip it. So skip and swap technique. So we're just going to skip it over here. Else, then we will swap. Else, then we are going to swap it. Temporary is equal to nums is the array, and we will swap our left and right. So we write left over here, and we are going to swap it. It's equal to nums of right. Then again, nums of right will become temp. That is a temporary variable. Then after swapping it, what should we do? We should keep moving on. So we have to move on means we have to increment our left and then our right variable. So what happens here is right keeps moving forward and left also keeps moving forward, but left follows right. So we will run our code. So we see that okay, we have another over here. This right is equal to 0, left is equal to 0. Should we come out here? So sorry. So here if it is 0 or 1 means that suppose it is 0, then there's only one element. So 0 has to be presented at the end of the array. So we'll just return the same thing. So we return. And suppose if it is 1 also, there's only suppose the size of the nums array is just 1. So it contains just one element. That means still we have to just return the same element. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense if we don't return anything. So that is what this is for, and we just swap it and we have our answer. So thank you.